See, this is why I think a lot of the Federal Reserve and the borrowing and the spending conversation is actually just political because Peter, uh, what's his name? Peter Lynch or Peter Schiff, he thinks that gold stocks are undervalued, by 90%, meaning like he thinks gold stocks are going to go up 10x to 100x. But that would only happen if we went back to a gold standard and we had like an open market rate on the a conversion. So it's unlikely. But the point is, he still wins as a financial advisor by taking your assets under management and putting them into his gold mutual fund or his portfolio management platform. So he wins either way on the communication, and by being the antagonist or the contrarian to the fiat system, he attracts a lot of people who like his economic, content and philosophy. But the point is, he still wins because he's the broker. So, um, anyways, I'm just saying that I think the status quo is always going to be in the future. There might be modifications, but I would say that I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what the outcome of all this borrowing and spending is going to be, because we could look at historical examples, from the 40s or the 30s. Um, but does America have a special arrangement or situation because of its geographic proximity, its expansion? I mean, is history likely to repeat itself, or it's just a drawn out process? So I'm just saying, keep smiling because nothing, and nothing is miserable.
Well, if you think about the blockchain currency, right? Say Bitcoin, there is by definition limited supply, but so it's inflation-free currency, and it should have technically speaking become long ago the leading currency in any capitalist country if there was no political pressure.
Because you're trolling me, and I told you specifically that would make me cranky.
Wake up and
Can I say one thing to that?
Cranky Monica is not a good
Monica, can we get a reset? No.
Hey, Mother, we were talking about the amazing controversy of the American Eagle ad, which has been so disastrously a failure that they've sold out of the blue jeans. And I heard that the blue jeans, a percentage of the proceeds were going to be donated to preventing domestic violence organizations. I don't know if that's true, but I think it's pretty cool. All because the woke leftist insane mob has decided that Sydney Sweeney is a white supremacist Nazi because her mom had a 50th birthday where they had red hats saying make 50 great again, and maybe a couple of the people had back the blue t-shirts. So that makes them criminals, right? Because they believe in law and order and have conservative values. So forgive me, Daniel. Forgive me, Andrew, if I don't quite feel like indulging in your trollish behavior. We're talking about
the American Eagle. Actually, this is the first time I'm hearing it.
I don't know how that's the first time I'm hearing it.
So I actually went and looked up.
Anyway, enlighten me again. So what's the controversy?
Just Google American Eagle ad. There'll be a billion articles that come up talking about the controversy. Like, this has been going on for.
First room on Clubhouse talking about.
It's about 7 days, and then they have something else to get agitated about because apparently Dunkin' Donuts had the temerity of hiring a young, handsome white guy with brilliant blue eyes to sit by the pool and say that he has a tan that he's gotten from genetics, and that he did his colors and he's golden summer, and he didn't plan on being the king of summer, but here he is, and every time he sips a Dunkin' Donuts breeze, the sun just naturally is attracted to him, and that's apparently forbidden. That's not allowed to be a young, handsome white guy with blue eyes at the pool.
So,
I don't
Moose, just to give you some context, essentially the ad goes, she's talking about like genes that are passed down, like, you know, it's genes she's selling, they're passed on from generation to generation or whatever, and then she like makes a reference to the color of her eyes or whatever, and people are
She said,
interpreting
my
it to
jeans are blue. She says, my jeans are blue. It's a
Well,
plain
sorry,
blue
Monica, I don't
jeans.
have the ad memorized, but I'm trying to summarize for Moose, right? So essentially, people are saying that she's doing white supremacist propaganda because of the way that the ad is it's a huge overreaction of the left. It makes them look ridiculous.
That's why I see those Trump PTRs wearing jeans, posing like Brooke Shields. Got it.
Daniel, even like comedians are making fun of like, this is a stretch, and this is when people talk about
it
like,
sounds like a stretch. You know, I'm on the left. That is a stretch. Those jeans are really too tight. They need to be. There's no stretch. These are stretchy jeans.
Daniel, real quick. Daniel, did you notice what Moose said? He said, "What is the crime? What is the crime of being white?" That's very similar to saying, "What is the crime of murder?" Okay.
No,
I
but
mean,
I
the crime is if you're white and you vote. If you're a white voter in the United States, the chances are you're a criminal.
I would say though, it is interesting to see some people on the left actually say that it's too much of an overreaction, because I think that is good. It's like a chance. Like leftist people are more likely to listen to leftist people than to listen to Republicans. And if you have people on the left saying it's a little bit much, I think that's good for y'all.
Yeah, I always call that's ridiculous. It's too much. I'll call it like I see it. It's like this is the stuff that shoots them in the foot.
Exactly.
Instead of trying to get a message for the Democratic Party for the midterms, let's take clickbait of these kind of this just waste of time and energy and resources.
And then it feeds into the narrative that y'all are out of touch with what people actually care about, you know, because like the fact that this is a thing is weak.
White people shouldn't be using anything to do with genes in the first place, being that they usually use genes and the concept of genes against whites. But for the most part, it's a very interesting concept of whites being automatically criminals. I don't think they're automatically criminals because of their color. And does anybody want to talk about that?
I feel bad when I meet poor white people, because I'm like, what were you doing for generations when the rest of your family was getting rich and wealthy, doing criminal activities and enslaving people? Like if you're gonna be white, at least be a wealthy white. Like don't be a poor white. Like that means your entire like genetic line fucked up. Yeah.
Well, that's a transsexual perspective. But most people, the second and third generations, are quite poor.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why did your family fuck this up?
Not just white, meaning Chinese, meaning Indians, meaning Hispanics. The first and second and third generations usually end up kind of poor due to a lack of nuclear family. So who's pushing for nuclear family?
Nobody.
Right, so we just get poorer. So nobody has a stance to say that anybody else is kind of poor here right now, right? Because eventually you're going to be poor too.
Mattis, you caught the fact that I was being sarcastic, right, with my comments. I just want to be clear.
Well, I can't trust what a trans says, so your sarcasm is probably just being honest.
Oh, okay.
So Beam and I were having a discussion, and she says the commercial is, and I agree, is very much telling on how you take it as to what your ideologies are. So if you hear Nazi propaganda, as some people have, you're likely on the left of the political spectrum. If you see a beautiful young girl making a joke, and is she pretty? You're likely on the right side of the political spectrum, or a healthy young male. It can go either way. So we're defining and this. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just trying to get clarification. How much, let's say, African American blood must you have, or how much when you do like a 23andMe, you know, and it gives you your breakdown, like what percentage of like African American descent would you need to say that somebody qualifies as being black? Can you help me out with that?
That's a great question.
No, it's not a great question, Bima. Stop coddling him.
Okay, well then give me the hardball. I don't care. I think it's a phenomenal question.
It's not. And
Okay.
what is it? We're talking about white. Why are you interjecting black? Why do people
And
do
it's
that?
black. And you're not.
You know, I hosted a room with Melissa once, several years ago, and I said, white on white crime, does anyone care? Anyone wants to talk about what happened in the room that we held?
No. So nobody wants to tell me what it takes to be black?
Yeah, so the percentage is 39.5%.
That makes sense. Okay, that checks out.
No, but jokes aside, okay, like let me take my jokes head off. But like usually it's about 40 to 45% where you mostly present as having African features. Like there are people who hover in like 30 to 37% that are like, you know, they look racially ambiguous, but that's the generally accepted like percentage. If you are predominant, or if you have the dominant African presenting genes, that's usually about 40 to 45.
So when did it change from the one drop rule where if you had 1% of black DNA, whatever that is?
I think only Americans are obsessed with the one drop rule. Like I don't think anyone outside of the US really follows.
Nazi Germany when it came to
Oh, true.
Yeah, not much difference there.
Okay, now let me ask you, because from what I understand, there's a few things. So what if like you're actually like, 40 or 50% black, but again, only from the waist down like Daniel? Or if you have so much black in you, like say you actually are like 60,
you're not here for a serious conversation. You're just going to continue to troll and disrespect the Mod's request.
Yeah, I'm kind of done. Like Andrew, the rooms that you host, I don't do this shit to you.
He sounds like a 16-year-old.
Well, he's having a good time. And so when you're trolling, you tend to have a good time because you're amused by what you're saying. And he's not reading the room. He doesn't understand that I'm earnest in this pursuit of understanding why some people think it's not okay to be white. And he can do it in his own room. He can have fun there. But there's like people on this stage that I really want to talk to, and he's hogging the mic. So let's move the mic around. Aya, weren't you trying to comment earlier, and I don't think you got your point in? Am I remembering?
I'll make a quick comment about kind of like, there's something to be said about like attributing like guilt of a race. Even the idea of a race construct is poorly defined. It's not well defined in terms of science. There's incongruences between how we think of race and how it shows up in the data. In fact, it's sometimes better to look at gene motifs, so combinations of genes, rather than say, oh, I'm this race, I'm that race. You might have more to do or more in common with this person based on how you digest sugar or how you process insulin than anything else. So I think there's something to be said about that. But more so the whole idea of saying that you can be guilty because you're white, even the idea of being white is only about 70 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Before then it was something like British or aristocracy. It's always been defined by wealth. And in fact, the oppressors are the wealthy class. So no matter what you believe about race, that's not really the people who are oppressing you. It's the people who have power and influence. And those are not usually, in the general public. That's a minority of a minority. Something like 1% of the population controls the rest. So I'll leave it there for now, because I think there's too much sinister projection going on onto race itself, and it gives it too much credit.
Yes, I agree.
Does anybody else want to give their opinions on the ad, this American Eagles ad?
So I think the controversy actually got them more sales than the actual jeans, because who the fuck wears American Eagle anymore? I don't know. But the second thing I was going to say is, so this woman, right? What's her name? Sweeney or whatever? Do y'all remember her name?
Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney. Like, if you all have seen the shows that she does, like, she kind of like does the whole sexually provocative thing frequently in a lot of the stuff that she's done in the past. Like in Euphoria, like she was always kind of dressed like a bimbo. Like her boobs were pushed to the front of so everyone could see it. Her clothes is always very skimpy. So like I think this is part of her like selling strategy. Like she just kind of does this as like part of her
No, mother. Attractive young women use their assets for attention and power and money and control. Shooketh.
But it kind of, it's like, yes, I mean, women do that, but like the way, maybe it's because her boobs are like massive. It's like, it gets to be, it looks kind of trampish in some of like her outfits, you know, like it's a little over much, you know, but this is my opinion. But I'm also a fag, so I don't know if that.
Good point. All right, who wants the mic? This room's been running for a couple hours, y'all, and they did. I guess, Beamer, we're gonna have to do our part two. We're gonna have to do a part two, but go ahead now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you mentioned about women having advantages, like being able to use, like, you know, their boobs to get out of the speeding ticket. Like, I wonder how often that actually works in reality. I mean, because it definitely has happened. Like, they had like a series called "What Would You Do?" They had it where like of three people who were stealing a bike as a social experiment. There was a white boy, a black boy, and then there was a blonde chick. And you had the white boy, people just ignored it. The black kid, they said that they called the police on him. And they had the blonde chick, people would help her steal the bike. So, in general, there definitely does seem to be that advantage. And it's why to me, it was a question I always had. When I was in Sunday school, my parents brought, I always wondered is, why did, the thing that to me, or I guess it was kind of something to me, I wondered was, why did, men, as I get older, why did men only get, or specifically...
Wait, Necro, the example with the bike, that was a commercial? There was a social experiment?
It was a social experiment. You can Google it. It's pretty hilarious, actually.
Yeah, it was a part of the series What Would You Do?
That's why the CIA always has women in one of the team.
Finishing my point. So, what would you do? The series basically, they have these social experiments where you have something happening and seeing how the public would react to the situation, pretty much. My favorite one was the one where they had a kid who was autistic.
Describe the bike one in a little more detail for her.
I guess I can do that. So basically, you had it where you had a white kid, who was breaking into a bike, and he was basically of course he was using his saw, and people came by and asked him, "Is that your bike?" And they're like, "No," and they just ignored it and walked off. And then they had a black kid who was trying to steal their bike, just like the white kid, and what they did was that they asked him, "Is that your bike?" And he's like, it's they were like, "You can't steal stuff." And then they started calling the police, and then they had just everybody was they were immediately alarmed by a black kid stealing a bike. And then you had a blonde chick who came and was trying to steal the bike, and she was asking a man a woman's husband if he could help her steal the bike, and he helped her steal the bike. So
I wanted to touch on the topic, but I wanted to come from a different angle, right? When I was 21, I went and I stayed in Germany with my aunt, and while I was there, I was doing some music. So I was into music real heavy. I met these cool guys, right? Went to their house, met their dad. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Chuck Berry, but their dad played with Chuck Berry. He was a guitarist, right? These all German people, right? Mom was super cool. Anyway, we're sitting out at the table, eating, passing a few J's around and having just regular cool conversation. They asked me about this country. And my friend Bino was with me. Bino, the ill Filipino, that's what he went by, right? He was with me, right? So we're having discussion and stuff, and we're talking about, America and the characteristics of America, right? And the brother says, Matthias was one of their names. He says, I've always wanted to visit Africa. I want to go to this country. And he named the country. And I said, that's funny. I was like, in my country, I would never hear a white man say that. And he said, I'm not white. I'm German. Right. And so I realized right then there was a separation that he recognized in his culture. Right. But what he recognized is what white was. Is affiliated with racism because it's a construct that was created for political means in this country, right? So I saw that right then. Him as a German, he was disassociating from the racist culture that's in this country. Now, I don't fault all white people because some of y'all don't know some of the stuff you do may be racist, right? You just raised a certain way, and some of the stuff you might not know, right? But what I'm pointing out here is that the idea of whiteness is racist by nature because it's a political construct. When we look at where slavery came from, right, in this country, it originated with the indigenous people here, right, where it was like about preventing the women who were living in these colonies that were born here were no longer subjects of the king or queen of England, right? They were no longer subjects to the crown because they were born in these lands. And so they couldn't be referred to as English or British and be brought under the law by those terms. So they affixed the term white. Okay. And this is where this now encompassed anybody who came from Europe that had this fair complexion. All right, it was a political construct. And this is why I said earlier in the chat, there is no such thing as white culture. When I was in Germany, I was at a bowling alley and I met a guy, quote unquote, white American guy. And he was like, white culture is boring. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, there's no such thing. And then we had like a conversation. We went out and had, a cool conversation. Met skinhead that night too. I almost had to get into a fight with. But, interesting night.
Rocco, thank you for your contribution. I don't mean to
But
cut you off.
I just want to land right here.
Back to the ad.
I just want to land right here. I know I was going for a minute, but I just want to land on the fact that the idea is, the racial construct, the political construct of whiteness is an illusion. Like, just know who your people are, your ancestors, and that's where your culture comes.
So would you mind, do you want to just take another couple seconds to just tie it back to what you think about the ad and how you're connecting this to the ad?
Well, I saw an article on that. I didn't really watch it, but I think the thing was about the right genes. I mean, you can play on words and you can make it seems like a social experiment just by the way people are responding to it. I didn't watch the whole ad, but I heard about it, and I heard about the basic tagline that was supposed to be the big deal. I just think it was meant to spark conversation, and what the people do with the conversation, that's where we see where this country is really at. That's why I tie that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that is quite the take. Somebody mentioned earlier the controlling population is, I'm not going to say it verbatim, but the oppressing population is the wealthiest population, and it's 0.02 whatever percent. And go ahead. Someone gonna say something?
I mean, in general, I'd say that that's consistent. It's essentially
sure,
but I wouldn't say that it's like necessarily the case. But it definitely,
it just took me to the thought of American Eagle, to whatever extent, their goal is to make more money for their shareholders and sell jeans.
Yeah.
And as far as we can tell, it seemed to work.
I would say,
yeah, I think that there's been a systematic attempt to silence this particular voice in here. I won't say much more. I'll shut up. I won't interrupt, and I won't disturb the regime. but I think the one voice has been silenced in particular. We all know who, and we all know why. So what a pathetic forum. Don't pretend that it's a place of free exchange of ideas. It's disgusting.
Well, I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I think definitely it's hypocritical. I mean, because it seems like, you know, even though like we've called ourselves the land of the free, like, you know, a lot of people who have not experienced, you know, freedom have been, you know, Black people in the United States historically. So, I mean, yeah, there's definitely a testament to our hypocrisy.
Well, it's never too late to make a change, right? Because I honestly believe if y'all want America to survive, that old mentality's got to go, man, or this country's gonna implode on itself. It's not gonna go the way these power-hungry people think.
Yeah, and I mean, just in general, though, I mean, the thing, though, I've always wondered essentially is that if you say some of those, like, you recognize that, like, you know, what I said is that the United States, you know, white people have benefited from, like, institutional racism. You know, that means that, you know, you're suffering from white guilt. And I mean, I don't know. Me and Monica, that seems to be something you've hinted at in the past. I'm not sure if you would say that I suffer from white guilt.
I definitely. Go ahead, Rob.
I think he was addressing you. I don't want to interrupt. I'll respond after you.
Oh no, go ahead. You finish. I'm gonna shift a little bit. So thank you so much. Go ahead.
All right. So I was just gonna say, you know, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but ultimately, right? I think like the white guilt thing is something. Look, you're not responsible for what your ancestors did, right? Nor am I responsible for what my ancestors did, right? We're all responsible as individuals for what we do with our lives now and the choices we make in the here and the now, right? So the only guilt you could feel is if you're actually guilty of something, right? So I look at it like this. We're in a time where we can actually affect change, right? And it starts with us as individuals. If we want to see this country change, we actually have to do some different things. And we have to, look, whether we like it or not, Black people, white people, we tied together in this country, right? Black people are not going to get rid of white people, and white people ain't going to get rid of Black people. Black people ain't going to no damn Africa. You know what I'm saying? Forget that, right? Because we contribute way too much to this culture. If we left America, y'all be bored to death. And y'all be behind in technology and all kinds of other things, because a lot of us do these inventions, is keeping it a grand, right? So that ain't finna happen. The reality is we gonna be here. And the best thing to do, right, if we want to save this country, I know y'all probably hear this about reparations all the time. And honestly, it's like there's a karmic debt that's on this country that it has to be paid, right? Because if it's not done willingly, it'll be made to be done unwillingly, and God will control that. And that's where we're at in this day and time. Like, people got to make a decision whether or not you really believe you're going to face the Lord of the universe. Maybe you don't believe in God. Maybe you don't believe you'll ever have to face him. I do, right? And so for me, I'm about righting as many wrongs as I can before it's time for me to leave this planet. And I encourage everybody to do the same. If you want to go to the paradise, but if you don't care, you know, there's a place for people who believe like that too.
Okay, I'll jump in here. So I can't go back in history and change our checkered past. But what I can do is remember it and then do my best to minimize the disparities and discrimination that I see in the present, so that hopefully the future is better. I don't believe our country was founded on slavery. I believe our country had slavery. And I believe our country paid a dear price to get rid of it. And when we're not having a reparations discussion, not in my room, but what I don't see is a recognition of the sacrifices that we made to make a better, in order to form a more perfect union. And our union's not perfect now, but the accusations of white fragility, the presence of white guilt, the insistence that one check one's privilege based on the melanin content of their skin, these are all racist concepts and should be refuted in the most impeccable way.
Yeah, and if I could just say, Monica, if I could just say one thing, and I'll be brief on the stage. I'll think of this analogy. I'll try and make it very simple. Let's say a father murders a man and takes his goods, and his son inherits those. Now, this is a problem. It's problematic. A child should not benefit from the crime of his fathers, and we can push it back many generations, right? I'm giving you an easy example where you have a father who commits a murder. He takes this man's goods, and his son inherits those goods. Now, we can trace back a lot of the injustices that have happened to specific families, to specific specific examples of wealth due to the abuse of certain peoples. We can trace it back historically and prove it in a court of law. And we can see the benefits. And yes, there is a privilege that is based upon the murder of people. And we must concede to ourselves, it's wrong. It's wrong. White people are not superior because they're smarter, not because they're more adept. They're privileged, and they are because of the murder that their fathers committed. It's a problem.
All right,
Monica,
then I'm going to be demanding. I'm going to be demanding reparations from all the women who murdered their progeny with voluntary abortions.
Okay.
Where are my reparations for the loss of life, for the genocide of the next generation?
Go for it. But the problem is,
No, Daniel, you're good. You're
So
good.
can I? Well, I think that
Hi, Necro. There are some people I haven't heard from, and I am running out of time. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, the problem with Daniel's idea of reparations essentially is that it doesn't take into account the fact that most white people, for one, their ancestors did not own any slaves whatsoever. And so, I mean, to apply to say all white people, they owe they owe blacks money, because I mean that's based on the assumption that all white people have stolen that their ancestors stole from black people. But also, I mean, it's just also the fact that if that was the case, that would mean that African countries would also have to give back wealth that they stole through enslavement. I mean, reparations, taken to its logical ends, would have to, every country would have to have a significant transfer of wealth through how many slaves that they owned, it seems. So that's why I'm against reparations.
I don't want to make it a reparations conversation.
It's not going to be, because you can throw a quarter down the hallway of Clubhouse and find one.
You're right. I'm sorry.
So, let's move on.
I want
You can make your comment in the chat if you really need to wrap up a final thought on reparations.
No, it's fine. I apologize.
Yeah, no, it's just ridiculous to me for a couple reasons. One, what do you put? What's the price tag for the crime of enslaving one person? It just seems like the debt will never be repaid. So then what do? Because you can't repay the debt, then you live your life the best way you possibly can, doing the least amount of harm to people, and you don't oppress them as much as you're able to. That seems to be reparations enough to me, but it's not enough to someone else. So we're talking about the crime of being white. I get accused of upholding whiteness on the app, and what they're confusing whiteness with is American values, American and conservative values. That's not whiteness. That's American values. So who else thinks it's a crime to be white on the stage?
Nobody. Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
I don't know, Necro. You'd be surprised.
Well, I mean, Monica, I just would like to ask you, I mean, I said before, like, you know, I acknowledge that, you know, I, as a white person, I'm not saying that you believe this, but a lot of people have accused me of white guilt because, you know, I've acknowledged that, you know, historically that, you know, I, as a white person, have, you know, benefited a lot from institutions which have been grounded in white supremacy. I mean, do you think that I suffer from white guilt?
I don't know about you directly, Necro. I think we had a conversation in the back channel, though. Like, some people have been taught and trained that white people are oppressors, and because they're in the majority of our country, that makes them the villains in every aspect. Some people insist that all white people are racist, that all white people are colonizers and rapists and murderers, and we own all of the bad that is in history. If you believe that, then you're going to be cruel to white people, even if you're white. You'll have this stain of original sin that is whiteness that will never be washed off. And that's criminal to me. So I don't know, Necro, what do you think? Do you think you have white guilt?
I mean, I don't believe that I've ever experienced any sort of guilt. I mean, I've just acknowledged the past history of the country, and even though the founding fathers have done a lot of things that were very good, there are also things that, you know, they did that have left a stain on our nation's history, particularly to African Americans. But I mean, do I feel guilt myself because of what my ancestors did? No, but I do think it is something that white people should be educated about if we want to, you know, acknowledge some of the problems in our society, which could be traced to historical institutions. I think that, you know, is a responsibility that we should have if we want to make change.
So let me ask, we can, if you guys still want to ask or put in your contributions to the white guilt topic, we can. I'd like to tie it back a little bit to the ad, though. We were discussing the Great Jeans ad with the American Eagle Great Jeans ad with Sydney Sweeney, giving like this beauty equals genetic superiority type thing, or maybe not. What do you think? If you guys can take a look, you know, YouTube real quick, the ad that we're talking about, if you haven't seen it, I want to know what you guys think that an ad like this reveals about us as people and as a culture. And that a phrase like great genes, when it's paired with a specific image, aka Sydney Sweeney, how can it, or can it evoke different, how can it evoke pride in some, frustration in others, pain in others, right? So why do you think, this is my point, why do you think the same phrase like the great genes can make some people feel proud and excited and sell out of this gene, right? People apparently have sold out. This gene is now so popular that people are so excited to go get it. This controversy has incited to provoke this. And then others feel frustrated, hurt, insulted, and feel pain by it.
So I think the reason why is because when you talk about things like great genes or things like that, it instills the idea that there's some genes that we want to have to, like, you know, it gets to the idea of, you know, that, I mean, we do have, you know, biases that we preconceive that we do like, you know, as a part of our genetics. But when we talk about things like, you know, great genes or good genes, you know, that it seems to imply that there's such a thing as, you know, bad genes, things that, you know, and bad genes essentially imply that we want to eliminate them. And so, you know, it's kind of thing that, you know, has been linked to eugenics, of course, because, I mean, you know, it's about, you know, replicating the genes that are preferred. So.
Does anyone see a problem with the ad? I know Adams, I actually agree with Adams. He's like, who cares? You're comparing an ad to everyday life, and that says more about celebrity worship culture than it does about race. I'm not sure. I'd like to hear more about that. Obviously, I only heard it because other people were talking about it, and it was already a thing. And we have people running around making podcasts about this, talking about. So obviously, our culture, right? Like, yeah, what does it say? What actually is that saying? What is that saying about individuals and our culture right now that we have an ad, a jeans ad of some woman who makes a play on words, gene, great genes, genetic genes. She happens to be she looks a particular way. And that evokes two very, very opposite reactions in our society. I would like to know more. Do you think that the ad was a problem? Do you think that this is entirely stupid? Do you think that it was arrogant? Would you buy from American Eagle if you had the chance? Are you going to choose something else? What do you guys think about?
It's just not as interesting as I think what we were talking about before, Bima. I think that's why we're not getting as much. There are quite a number of intellectuals in the stage, and I think they're more thought-provoking conversations than a Gap ad or an American Eagle ad. Okay, well, that's what we started. We talked about. So that was what the room was about. But originally, if you guys want to talk about white privilege, you want to talk about that, that's fine. Monica doesn't want to bring it down the role of reparations. I think that's eventually going to be talked about, and that's a place that I would like to take it, but it's not my room. So, but yeah, go ahead.
I have a comment.
Oh,
yeah. Hey, Dina. Well, I keep having to switch. Dina. Well, yes. Mia, would you prefer to go first?
However you would like to go. You know, I submit to me.
Well, since you're my friend and a lady, you can go first.
Appreciate that. I think this is a very easy solution. I think when Black people stop caring about the standard of beauty that white people set for themselves, then this will not be a problem. And then the blondes and the brunettes and the redheads can argue about, you know, whose genes are better. Sometimes we just need to take ourselves out of these conversations. I'm not concerned about white genes, but when you deal with people who want to be included so bad and they continue to tell you you're not a part of our community, stop trying to be down. Like, there was one of the best things that I saw online was when this older guy, he said that they finally got a seat at the table at the lunch counter, and when he ate the food, he was like, this is what we've been fighting for. I think that is the irony of all of these situations. Like, why do we even care that much? Stop trying to be down with people who don't want to be bothered with you. Those who want to hang, let's hang out. Those who don't want to be bothered, don't get caught up. I think it's just that simple.
Look, I watched the ad, Bima and Monica. Just give you a quick thing, okay? So they're trying to.
Andrew, I was actually next. Would you mind going after me?
Yeah, for sure, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I did want to comment on the whole, I hate to say the word, the reparations thing. I think Black people have been paid reparations many times over. Many times over. And it'll never be enough. Even if it were a fat check that said reparations on it, they would still be asking for reparations, which is pretty silly. Black people have been paid their. Black people currently have a GDP per capita of about 70,000 per the World Bank, right? And they have opportunities to education, employment, social mobility that are not available in most African nations, right? In addition to that, the wealth they've generated by slavery has contributed to urban centers where many Black Americans live right now and work and have access to public services like schools, hospitals, which are more developed in some regions and unaffected by the transatlantic slave trade, right? Given the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, right, that dismantled the legal segregation, right, Black Americans fully participate in democracy. They have access to opportunities. They have a Black caucus, right? I think these achievements, especially in the legislative Black branch, the significant requirement to achieve these levels, including attaining a Black president.
I knew you said just with a straight face.
Yes. It required significant political and economic investment, which is arguably functioning as a form of reparative justice. Since the Great Society programs of the 1960s, trillions, and I say trillions, of dollars have been spent on social programs like Medicaid, food stamps that have been abused, affirmative action policies that have disproportionately benefited Black Americans. Did they use this to create families? No. They sought child support instead of husbands, right? And so Black households, Black households.
So Seneca, I'm going to ask you to take another minute and then finish the discussion. And what I'm hoping to do, because I want everyone who wants a turn at the mic to have a couple minutes on the mic. If you're not interested in speaking, I'm going to ask you to move yourself down on the stage so I can close the room with just Bima and I left at the end. But go ahead, sir, and take your 60 seconds and complete your thought.
Okay, so I just think it's really funny that Black households only make up 13% of the U.S. population, but currently account for the highest share of SNAP recipients, right, per 2021. So at the end of the day, I'm sorry, when is enough? Okay, every time you hold a Black man or woman accountable, just look at the art of deflection, the mastery of deflection towards other groups, right? It's time for Black Americans to self-determine and to take responsibility and accountability for being the number one reason behind Black male deaths in the United States.
Oh, can I say something real fast?
Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to go in reverse PTR order. After you've had your turn at the mic, please drop yourself down. And then we're going to try and make sure everybody has a turn. According to my PTR, Halo gets to go. Go ahead, Halo.
Hey, I just want to respond to what he said. I just did some research because that didn't sound right, but it does say here in the U.S., non-Hispanic white individuals account for the largest percentage of SNAP, according to whatever data, both amongst adult and children. In 2020, 44.6 of the adult SNAP recipients and 31.5 of the child recipients were non-Hispanic white people. I'm not here to make a black and white argument. I just wanted to correct what he said, and I'm just listening.
All right.
Yeah, check 2021. 2020 was a long time.
Thanks, Halo. Seneca, if you have any resources that you'd like Halo to look at, I would so appreciate you dropping them in the chat.
Look at the USDA 2021.
So, Double, the mic is yours, and then we're going to come right to you, Andrew, okay? After Double gets to speak. And then, Halo, if you can drop down. I'm trying to end the room. It's been open for a few hours. And it's been a great room, but I really need to say goodnight. So go ahead, Double. How are you and your thoughts?
Hi. I came in late. I'm not sure about the title exactly with the crime of being white, but when I came in, people were discussing, there was this advertisement from American Eagle that sponsored an actress. I think I've seen very little of her work, but I believe her name is Sydney Sweeney. She's a brunette actress who I guess dyes her hair blonde. And, she has kind of a uncanny valley sort of look, I would say, that has helped her career. But anyway, the advertisement does a play on words with genetics, I guess, genes, and blue jeans, which they're trying to promote and trying to boost sales and so forth. Somebody mentioned that I found it a little strange, the comment about let the redheads and the blondes fight it out and this is a white thing, and that no one else should be concerned. It's not just white people, actually. It's actually all life on the planet. Only exists, functions at the most basic level, and is distinct from all other life because of the genetic code encoded in each cell. Even viruses, have genetics. It affects everybody very deeply, and then, of course, their offspring and their ancestors. So it does, I would say, as a topic, it is relevant to you listening. So at any rate, another thing that's kind of funny about it too is the idea that it's white people separate from, I assume, like black people or other people. African American, I wouldn't speak for sub-Saharan Africans, but all African Americans are descended from European peoples, about 20% on average of their genetics. So even that, trying to make a genetic distinction from white people, it's like, well, you contain the same DNA or the same population of DNA from large groups, from Europe. So it also doubly applies. Whatever's going on with white genetics applies just as well, largely speaking, to African American genetics specifically. But anyway, this is a kind of a meandering thing, but I think genetics is important. Whether the American Eagle ad is kind of silly, but just as a topic, I think people should take a greater interest. We now have genetic editing technology, CRISPR. So if people are suffering from disease or need to make a modification, there's both treatments for adults to modify certain cells within their bodies. There's also germline edits that's been done to even change embryos themselves, so change someone's entire genome. Famously, there was first case of that was child. I think maybe multiple, but at least one child was cured. Or it's kind of controversial whether that was a good move or not. But supposedly, given an edit that makes it impossible for them to be infected by HIV. Anyway, I find this stuff fascinating. We now have technology like polygenic embryo selection. So if you're doing IVF or that kind of thing, you can
Okay,
analyze.
Agent. Wait, wrap it up, Agent.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, my point is it's important. I think it's increasingly important for people, and it shouldn't be dismissed. It affects everybody. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that, Monica Beam. I just wanted to start with an apology. I did accuse the mods of oppressing me because I'm white, but in fact, they moved me down, but they did invite me back up immediately. So I just wanted to say I apologize for the false accusation. The second thing I wanted to say is I did watch the ad, and the ad basically is just using attraction that they think will sell. You know, it'll get women to want to be, you know, who want to be desirable, to be interested in these jeans, and it'll make men, you know, maybe potentially want to buy those jeans for the women they're with, or promote them in some way. So that's what they're doing, and then it's just a play on words, saying she has good jeans. So it's just trying to promote American Eagle. I'm not even sure what the controversy is. It's not like saying, it's not promoting like gene editing or anything like that. It's just saying she has good genes. People have said that for quite some time. That expression's been around. If somebody has particularly desirable attributes, you might say they have good genes, right? People have been saying that for a long time. So I don't think this is any kind of eugenics or, you know, some kind of human modification pushing ad. Now, it may be salacious, or it may be capitalizing on, you know, sex sells, principles, stuff like that. Okay, and there might be some immorality there, but it is certainly, as far as I can tell, not pushing eugenics. Last thing I wanted to say is Seneca, now that you and I and Dee are all in the same room, I made it quite clear the other day to Dee that you have given me explicitly in your room the N-word pass. And she did not believe that.
I would never believe something like that, Andrew. I don't think you're telling the truth.
Okay. Well, what I would like to do is give up the rest of my time for Seneca to be able to speak and go ahead and let everybody know. Though I didn't use it, I have several passes in my back pocket.
Oh,
and they were given by Seneca. So I'll go on mute. Go ahead, Seneca, if you would, to take my time.
So my position is that if Black people can reclaim the word from their slave masters and call their brothers and sisters niggers, then white people can also reclaim it back and also call them niggers.
Are you putting Andrew in danger, Seneca? Is that what you plan to do? Is that the ultimate goal?
He knows I am.
Because it goes further than the app. You don't want someone like Andrew to feel that comfortable, because Andrew is fluid in the words that he says. And he might go out and think that the past allows him to just say it wherever he goes. And now you have put him in harm's way. I don't think that's what you want to do.
Well, I think, you know, unlike Black men in Chicago, Andrew is not necessarily threatened by Black people, because anyone can get a gun, and so he can get one too, and he can also shoot a gun too, just like Black people can shoot each other in Chicago. And so if you know, those Black people want to threaten his life for using the N-word, he can respond in kind.
Now you want Andrew to be equipped with a gun to shoot people for a word. Okay. That makes sense.
I'm just saying we have freedom of speech in the United States.
We definitely have freedom of speech. But I don't walk around calling women bees and don't expect for there might to be some violence to follow. You know, it's just called being courteous.
Right. Well, I just want to say I'll accept your apology, Dee, because you thought that I said something that was false, that Seneca did not, in fact, give me the pass.
You know what, Andrew? As a Black woman who holds herself accountable, I do apologize. Right. And now it just makes me reevaluate the type of person that Seneca is.
I get you, but I just want to throw, for anybody on the stage or anybody down in the audience that's jealous, Seneca has the express right to make these transferable. So I have 60 of them. If there's anybody here that would like one, just contact me in the back channel. I'll hook you up, and we can go forward from there. They're probably only good primarily in Seneca's room, but they might work elsewhere. Just be careful. I appreciate it.
All right. So Andrew's done. Please move down, Andrew. D, the mic is yours.
Thank you.
Monica, this has been a great room. It's been very funny. I think Double didn't understand what I was saying in regards to not being concerned with people saying this is the standard of beauty. The point is that worry about yourself. Stop getting caught up in divisive techniques. If that's what you think it is, if it's such an emotional, point for you, stop worrying about what other people are doing. Focus on yourself, focus on your community, focus on building. Seneca, I'm gonna have to have a conversation with him offline. So there's that. And,
go ahead.
Yes. I was going to say, Monica, I'm going to follow you. And I like to hear people who don't have the same opinion as other people. And I will definitely come into more of your rooms, the conversation.
Well, that is my honor. Thank you so much. And I did like what you said. If it's not for you, then it shouldn't bother you. And that includes people involved in things that are truly not at their business. And people, I find, get themselves in a lot of trouble by intervening when it's not their job to. And then being offended by things that really is not pertaining to them. A good example is there are gender wars on the app, right? Women will hold rooms about men being trash and garbage and useless, and then the men will respond with a room about women being trollops and crazy and violent. And instead of the men focusing on holding men accountable and men acknowledging the great men that are present, they'll attack the women. And the women vice versa. Instead of lifting up the good men and the good women, they focus on the issues, the problems. And it's human nature to do that because the problems are where the danger is. But it would be so nice to lift up people without having to minimize other people. So thank you for your time. Seneca, the mic is yours again, if you'd like to make some closing comments.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, the beauty of this country is equal accountability, equal responsibility, and fairness across board, right? Say what you want about our justice system and the marginalizations. Yes. Are there flaws? Yes. Right. But the beauty of this country, the reason why people leave Nicaragua, leave Nigeria, leave Haiti, and all these places to come to this country is because they know that in this country you get a better shot, right? And you get better fairness. You get more fairness in this country when it comes to the justice system. And so by that, right, I think it is really prejudice and discriminatory to suggest that white people are not allowed to use a word that Black people use when we have the rights of free speech as an inalienable right in this country, meaning you are born with the right of freedom of expression, right? If a Black man can say the word nigger, white people should be able to say the word nigger too. You wanted equal rights to vote, you got that. Give white people the equal right to say nigger. Thank you.
Monica, if I may.
Do you want to reply to that real quick, and then you can drop down? Sure. Yeah, please reply. Man, that word. I'm gonna get static because a black man said the black slur on my stage,
Monica,
and it's ridiculous. It's like, I don't own people. I don't control their mouths. If they want to say the naughty words, they're gonna say them. But I usually don't allow them on my stage. But go ahead.
So I understand Seneca's second argument, but when we start bringing in the justice system as a way to allow to say that Black people get rights too, the justice system is what sets the precedent for rights to be established. So there were many laws, and still laws today, that can be discriminatory. So you have to go through the justice system, and the justice is so, you can't just bottle it up into 2 sentences and then throw the N-word in there and all is fair in love and war. We can't do that. The justice system is so intense, and so many different possibilities of levels and courts and this, and having a jury of your peers, which is not really people even from your area. It's so intense that to just say, oh, Black people have rights because they have a justice system, even though it may not be fair, but if you haven't been through the system and don't know how the sausage is made, you would never make the comparison. If people want to say the N-word, let them say it. Have at it. If you say it in front of the wrong person, you may get insulted. If that's what if you're for that, hey, live your life. But I just think that there's so many other things in this world to do and be. And being American, to just say I can say whatever I want to, there's so much more to life. I mean, but have at it. It is what it is. But I'm going to drop down. And Seneca, I will see you in another room. You guys have a great night.
Just a comment about the Black slur. I hear it a lot that it's a motivating factor that white people just want to say it. I don't know how accurate that is. My position is, if people want to say bad words, we should let them say them, and then that gives us really good insight on what kind of people they are. Much rather be stabbed from the front than stabbed in the back, because I can see the blow coming and I can deflect it more easily. So if people want to be jerks and racially slur people, then we should consider letting them, and then we know how to deal with them. We know how to avoid them. If that's not our bag, that's not our thing. Seneca, you did have ample time on the mic. I'd like to get to Pops, unless you have a 30-second comment you'd like to make.
No, I just want to also clarify that I do not believe in using the sound at the end when it comes to nigga. I don't think that necessarily changes the word. I think that's a no true Scotsman argument to suggest that the meaning behind the word is changed by the suffix. It's not even a suffix, it's just a pronunciation, right? I think we should return to using the word nigger, and Black people should call each other nigger if they so choose, and white people should be able to call themselves nigger, call other Black people nigger if they also so choose.
Giving me a heart attack.
Let's make nigger great again.
No, Seneca, stop. Oh, God. All right. Well, it's not, like I said, that the majority of white people want to say the word. It's that there is some resentment in being said, we cannot say a word. And that's any word. Actually, I've been fussed because I said niggardly. Well, if you look up the definition of niggardly, it means small-minded and ungenerous and parsimonious. it's not anywhere near the slur, but because it sounds similar, I got fussed for using other words that they said, oh no, you can't say that because of who you are. And I'm like, I can say monkey if I want to, and I can call all people monkeys, and it shouldn't be interpreted as a racial slur if I'm calling all humans monkeys, but go ahead and be... Never mind. Okay, Pops, the mic is yours. Thank you, Seneca, for your time. Please drop down. We are almost to the first row. Hey, Pops, what are your thoughts on what you've heard tonight?
The typical Clubhouse stuff, man. I will just say that I didn't see the ad, but it sounds interesting. I'm probably going to check it out when I'm done. I'm not offended by what the ad sounds like. I have been known to fat shame. I am handsome, thankfully, and I do believe in superior genes. It is what it is. It's just with the time of the history that we're in. I don't think superior genes has anything to do with race either. This is just my thoughts. I can elaborate, but I feel like you're exhausted, and I will we'll probably circle back. But I just know I'm not offended by the article. Sydney Sweeney's hot. Obviously, she's about to be like the next Marilyn Monroe, Kim Kardashian, whatever, in my opinion. I think I don't know. Seneca's hilarious. I think he's trolling. To be honest, I hope he's trolling. And I'll land. There was a guy. I think he's from Thailand or Philippines or something. There are healthy people, there are sick people. This guy did 11,000 push-ups in 24 hours. I'm sorry, pull-ups in 24 hours. Right? He's got superior genes. Right? I don't think anyone. I can't do 11,000 pull-ups. I'm sorry, in 24 hours. Right? He broke the world record. That's some Class A genes right there. Training, whatever. Right? I don't think anyone on the stage could do that. Y'all don't got his genes, therefore those are superior. Has nothing to do with his race. Has nothing to do with his, his race. Right? It has to do with his health. I think health as well. Right? And that's just my opinion. I'll check out the ad. And that's it. I'll tell thanks.
All right, thanks, Pops. There's a bunch of links for Twitter that I added to the chat recently that have some of the ads. I think there's like 5 of them, maybe. I'm not sure. But one of them was, I'm not here to sell you American Eagle jeans. I'm not here to tell you how comfortable they are and how they make your ass look good. I'm not here to sell you to buy American Eagle jeans. I'm just here. And I'm like, well, that's kind of clever. That's kind of funny. And most of the ads were clever and funny. Right. But, haters gonna hate, and we live in such abundance that our natural urge to fight and protect is stunted because we're kind of like the apex predator, right? So our skills in fighting are honed by finding things to be aggravated and annoyed about online. That's how blessed we are in our society. All right, Pops, if you want to drop down, thank you for the time. Chi-Chi is next. Hi, Chi-Chi. How are you? Chi-Chi might not be able to say anything. Sometimes there are strong and silent force on the stage, so I'm going to move Chi-Chi down. Mojo, it's a pleasure that you've joined me in my room. I actually had planned to do this in the muff, and then I said, I don't know. So I did it in a public room. But do you have time to share any thoughts or insights with it? I'm thinking that's a no from Mojo. Io, the mic is yours.
Yeah, this commercial just reminds me of a funny story. When my parents were getting divorced, my father was like, I gave him jeans. And my mom was like, you didn't buy him any jeans. And he was like, no. And my mom was doing that just to troll my father. My first example of someone trolling somebody else was my mother trolling my father, who at the time was an alcoholic, and she was trolling him about his jeans. And so it was a double entendre. And to this day, I remember that, and now it seems more prescient than ever. But I think the whole idea of jeans, here's these jeans, there's those jeans. You can't be proud of what you have. seems to be the message that society has given everybody. No matter your genes, don't be proud, especially if you're white. Or especially if you have blue jeans. Fuck those jeans, especially. They look good on your ass for whatever reason. So I think it's silly. It obviously did what it was supposed to do, attention. And I think most of the people who buy their stuff are like surfer type white demographics anyways. So I think they're speaking to their audience, good for them. Their audience didn't think it was racist. I think a lot of other people thought it was racist. And as Pops described, it's like, yeah, she's hot. What are you going to say? She has bad genes? That's dumb. So no matter how you take it, taking it poorly is a poor sign. So Mojo, looks like you're on.
Oh, I had moved him down because he hadn't replied.
Okay, my thing is glitching. My bad.
Okay, let's see. I think he might be away from his phone because usually Mojo's not shy at giving us his opinion. So, Io, thanks so much for contributing. I appreciate your thoughts. If you want to move down, MGK is next. MGK, you were so close to be modded in this space, and I'm like, I better ask his permission, and it might be a bad look on his profile. So I didn't mod you, but that's only because I was afraid for your comfort on the app, not because I didn't want you to be a moderator in this space. The mic is yours, sir.
All right, let's see. First, I'll start with the ad. Look, sure, we can make bigger things out of it. I don't know. I see a company that sells jeans just trying to sell more jeans. And sure, they've got a different way of doing it. It's like, I don't know. I think what I'm most disappointed about this ad are the people that are mad about it who don't own a pair of American Eagle jeans in the first place. And it's like, look, you're mad about something you don't even buy. That's, I don't know. I've never been offended by a tampon commercial, So it's like, and even if the offense popped up, I'd be like, this is dumb. This probably just isn't for me. And that's fine, but maybe it's for somebody else too. And I also go to, look, we started getting into what we always get into on this app, which is historical oppression, the historical wrongs and things like that. And it's just like, without being too much of a jerk, I kind of want to say, at some point, nobody gives a fuck, and you've got to figure it the fuck out, And I think that's, and look, I just think that's like the price of freedom, right? That, okay, now, hey, whether you succeed in life or fail miserably, that's going to be completely up to you. And it's like, if you're not willing to pay that price, then, one, it's just not smart to do. So I think you should do it or don't, right? It's like, look, it's your life. You're going to have to live with the consequences. And what's particularly annoying about it is just that, I think it sort of ignores the, the legacy of prominent African Americans in our society, right? You've got someone like, take Booker T. Washington, for an example. This is someone that was born into actual slavery, right? But if you read some of the books that he's written, it's, and then you sort of hear how we talk about racism and oppression, how we think it's so defeating. You've got a guy who built institutions, after being born into slavery and making it out. And it's just like, you also have Madam C.J. Walker, right? The first self-made female millionaire in the United States. And she did this in the 1800s, right? You've got public lynchings, you've got Jim Crow, right? It's as bad as it can get. But we've got these examples of people who, even in these times, look, sure, you could say they're exceptional, right? But it's like, I don't know. I feel like if they could do that in that time period, there's a lot you could do where you're not born under those same conditions. And I think just with that being said, it's just like, that's sort of what I mean. At some point, you just have to embrace whatever circumstance your life is and figure it the fuck out. And sure, it sounds messed up to say that, but I have a weird suspicion that your life might be better if you just take that approach rather than pointing out all the injustices. It's like, welcome to the club, right? The world is filled with injustice. So it's sort of get in where you fit in and figure the fuck out. And other than that, I hope I wish you the best of luck. You can totally do it. You're capable of more than you think. You're stronger than you think, and the world will benefit if they get to see your contributions, and you could just contribute a lot more where you're complaining less.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Thanks, MGK. Who?
Can I ask MGK a question?
Sure, Adams, and then you can take your turn.
Yes, my apologies. I just wanted to add some context. So as far as, American Eagle just being so much America first, where is a good source of the sourcing materials and the production occur to the United States market? Can anybody answer that question?
I'm not too sure exactly.
Got it. So Vietnam and China.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So their direct competitor, Abercrombie and Fitch, they definitely source materials and distribution networks from the same places. So I'm trying to understand exactly how does this said campaign actually resonate to America first? Right?
Let's see. Does it resonate to America first? Look, I'm not too sure how it does either. If anything, it seems like to me what it just resonates with is like, how can I put it? The people you see on X that are very big fans of Sydney Sweeney, right? It seemed to be sort of catering to that demographic. And the way I see that is just, you see a potential audience that's out there, and you're just trying to figure out ways to monetize it. So I think, sure, someone can make a connection to America First. I don't really see that. To me, I just see it as like a particular segment of Sydney Sweeney's audience. And, overall, I just think it was a business decision more than anything, and trying to leverage that potential audience, right? It's sort of like when, there's like trans people in a car ad where it's like, at first it's like, look, what do cars have to do with trannies, right?
Got it.
And it's like,
so let me just let's kind of break this down for a second.
Well, actually, Adams, we both, Monica and I, have to go. I'm so sorry. The time for like a back and forth. Yeah, we were just, everybody was giving their last bits, and we're closing out. So if you can give your last bit, and then when you're done, you guys drop down. That would be great. Sorry about that.
Sure, 100%. And my points are typically to the point, and just straight down to the facts. So if you want to look at the outcry, as far as the common outcry, as far as Sydney Sweeney, being involved in this campaign, and people advocating for this to be America First, and then I see Kyrums where people on television have Sydney Sweeney side by side by Beyonce. So again, Sydney Sweeney represents American Eagle. I gave you a pathway as far as who American Eagle's direct competitor is, which is Abercrombie and Fitch. Both manufacture in China and both Vietnam. You also look at the person that they're comparing this campaign against, Beyonce. If you look at Levi's, their production and their manufacturing is in China and Vietnam. At what point are we going to wake up and understand that people are deploying this divisive racial narrative to separate us as a country, as opposed to looking at who is the factual source of this discord? So I'll just land there.
Thanks, Adams. I appreciate your time on the stage. I do want to make a couple comments, but let's go to Infinite. And Adams, if you don't mind dropping down, go ahead.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I brought it up earlier, and everybody just circles back to the genes and the divisiveness. I think this just seems kind of simple, that it was an opportunity to monetize the divisiveness. I hope we're all not fooling ourselves into being aware of the algorithm. And after this campaign launched, their stock went up quite a bit, American Eagles. It's an American-owned company. It peaked at $12, which was up 18% over the month. For the month, they sold quite a bit of jeans. So I just think it's interesting, and this room's to whatever extent confirmed that the divisiveness that the algorithm and marketers and large corporations and the information that they have access to, they just monetized it, and it worked really well. Sometimes it's more simple than what we make it out to be, but it does make for a conversation. I'll just leave it there.
Thanks, Infinite. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you and Bima. I consider kind of you like an official mod in the space. Bima, we did it. We made it. I don't know if we had the discussion we hoped we had, but we had a discussion, and I think for the most part it was great. One of my observations is, although we were talking about the crime of being white, it seems like it always goes to other things. We can't stay focused on the topic, but when you put something out there, you lose the control of it because you're putting it out there and you're opening it up for contemplation. And I think it was a good room. Your closing thoughts, ma'am, and then we're going to turn off the lights and shut the door until next time.
Oh man, yeah, great, Monica. Wonderful room. I have so much to say. I'm going to try to keep it short, that I get carried away. So I always count on Monica to give me the little whoop. Okay, so first and foremost, thank you everybody for coming. I want to remind everybody, because this is my purpose in life, is just to remind you that, you're not white guilt. Don't worry about it. You cannot be responsible. You can't be responsible or feel guilty. You can't be guilty for something that you didn't do. That doesn't make sense. But you are responsible for refusing to not correct the systems that perpetuate coercion, division, control, systemic oppression, etc. Okay, so I would invite everybody, remember, every day you wake up, you only have one responsibility. That's to not aggress upon your neighbor. I don't care what you think. Hold your opinions to yourself if it comes to law. Okay, freely associate, find like minds. But be an adult, okay? Emotional maturity. If you don't like something, leave. You got to get rid of the entitlement. You got to get rid of thinking that everybody has to think your way. Respect people. Sovereignty, consent. These are the things that we need to really begin to embrace. I also wanted to say, Seneca, I'm so sorry. Listen, I have to push back on this. The N-word topic, it was bothering me. I wanted to say something so bad, but we have 100,000 English adjectives and insults and descriptions to choose from in our English language. Okay, we could build some on adjectives onto others. When you want to highlight one word that carries the weight of a very historical weight of slavery and death and murder and segregation and dehumanization and trauma, I mean, that says more about you're either intellectually just lazy because you can't think of another word, you're emotionally immature because you can't handle being excluded from one cultural boundary. I'm not going to talk about anybody specific in this room, but clearly some people do feel that way, or you're just ethically bankrupt. You know the harm and you don't care. Okay, it costs nothing to be good and kind and to perpetuate grace and love in society for us to continue to grow. You want to even encourage the word something's wrong with you. Okay, get that looked at. The last thing I'll say, closing, I really loved the idea of the mirror of this ad. I love the ability to look at it. I loved everybody's comments too. Don't get me wrong. Adams made absolutely wonderful commentary about what's really going on. But I think that it was so interesting that what this particular conversation or this episode of America Gone Wild, Sydney Sweeney's Jean commercial, we have language and imagery. They're not neutral, right? They relay messages. They're vessels, and they could be vessels for whatever we deem them to be. Some people looked at this and they embraced it. Some people looked at it and were upset by it, felt excluded, felt sad, felt the pain and the trauma of historic systemic oppression. There's a bunch of different things that this will elicit depending on who you are and, just whatever, right? However you're looking at this. So whether it's however you look at the ad, this is more about you. And I'm not saying that good or bad. I'm just saying it's a good window into your own psychology about how you feel. And now all of us can leave this room tonight and just learn a little bit more about ourselves, right? What can you take about this whenever you feel some sort of strong reaction, right? If this ad if you really didn't give a fuck, you're doing great, right? You are amazing. If you didn't care either way, emotional maturity, you're right on point. Okay, I'm proud of you. If you felt a strong reaction, right? If it's offense, if it's defensiveness, if it's fear, if it's pride, if it's whatever it might be, stop and ask yourself, what part of me is responding right now to that, right? And that, I think, should be able to open you up. You could learn a little bit more about yourself. I really appreciate, again, everybody coming to the conversation. Monica holds bang-ass rooms. Everybody coming in. I wish it could have gone longer. I'm sorry for people that didn't get to talk next time. And hopefully this conversation can be an invitation not to argue about, bullshit, but just to become more aware, fluent in how language and how things affect each other, right? And collective healing, just all you got to do is be a decent human being. Oh shit, you know what? The ad, we fucked up. Okay, sorry. I apologize. Just be aware of it, right? Because I think what we're really, really debating is just who gets to feel like they belong. And we all just want to belong and we want to be loved, And so I love you all. Thank you for coming. Thanks, Monica.
You're welcome, Bima. So, I don't think American Eagle did anything wrong. I think they actually provided an ad that appealed to the majority. And that doesn't mean that they were slighting or insulting or oppressing or offending the minority. I think two things can be true. And I like what Infinite said about the American Eagle stock going up. I heard all the jeans were sold out, and I heard a portion of the jean sales went to domestic violence, minimizing domestic violence programs. So that's a win-win-win as far as I'm concerned. And if you haven't heard about the controversy with the Dunkin' Donuts, blue-eyed white male model ad, it's coming because people need to feel, and they like the feeling of anger and righteous indignation. So that might be a part 2 room for us, Bima. This is the crime of being white. And everyone have a great evening, and I'll see some of you around the clubhouse.
One to the student ratio is a real thing. You got to think about these things. So while Biden is leaving the border open for years, not doing nothing until the last minute, okay, here come the Republicans sweeping up after him. Well, not the Republicans, but Trump. So please stop making it seem like the Republicans are the big boogeyman and the Democrats are, come on, that don't even make sense. And you know better than that. So I'll go on mute. Thank you, Jesus.
You are the most deluded in the world, because all you did is spoken isms, and all your isms mean absolutely nothing, because I spoke to you in facts. And I will definitely bring data when I have conversations, and I literally gave you historical pieces to it. So let me give you how this looked, right? There's only been one president in the last 50 years that balanced the budget, and I said 50. I didn't say anything else, because some of y'all are weird as fuck. Bill Clinton, a Democrat. And I never said anybody was a savior at all. Just like both parties have problems, and I've said that a million times, but what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to look at a party that currently is literally destroying this country and say that they got some good parts and they don't. No, because I voted for other Republicans in other situations previously, because I looked at what their plans were and it made sense. And the previous Republicans that I knew were fiscally responsible. This ain't the Republican Party of yesteryear. This MAGA shit is racist, misogynistic, nasty, disgusting. They are looking to keep the rich rich and keep the poor poor. And I don't know how you don't see it, but have this conversation with me in another year and you will see exactly what I am talking about. Because again, you go in isms, I go by facts and data, sir. And the data don't look good at this juncture. When you have a man who would literally stand in front of the chair Fed that he nominated, who has been his Fed chair for a while. He was kept on through the Biden administration. And literally, the Fed chair is standing there telling him, the project is not $5.5 billion, sir. You don't know what you're talking about. He's shaking his head. He's trying to get him to shut the hell up. And then he pulls out the paper, and the man looks at him and says, no, you're incorrect. The numbers show the Martin project, which is what you're including in the numbers. The Martin project was finished 5 years ago. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. He's the fucking Fed chair. He knows what the hell was done friggin' 5 years ago. But you want to argue with the man who is the power purse of this country because you want to prove that you're right instead of showing how fucking stupid you are as a president, that you would stand there with your unpresidential ass and argue some numbers that don't make damn sense. Give me a darn break.
Okay. So you admit that the Democrats and the Republicans have messed this country up. It's not just the Republicans. I understand you. It's hard to follow you because you're doing the bob and weave between the Republicans suck versus how Trump is terrible. Then you're going back and forth. You're saying MAGA. MAGA came onto the scene in 2015. Okay, an anti-establishment figure who wasn't going to play nice because we were being sent down the river under go along to get along politics, saying all the right things but don't get nothing done. So he was sick of it. He put the spotlight on all of the corrupt. I mean, he ran through all of them Republicans, and then he ran through Hillary Clinton and defeated her in beautiful style. But at the end of the day,
are you saying Trump and Marco Rubio and Jeffrey Epstein at the time, those people weren't establishment?
Jeffrey Epstein in 2015. Jeffrey Epstein was even in the lexicon.
He wasn't in political circles. He wasn't establishment.
I didn't hear about Jeffrey Epstein until like 2007. Me personally, but anyway.
Okay. But you said not establishment, right?
Trump represented
Is his cabinet establishment? Is his cabinet filled? Is his cabinet filled with people who are part of the establishment?
It's not filled with. There are some establishments.
Did he drain the swamp that he said he was going to drain, or did he just get a bunch of people who acquiesced to what he wanted?
He's draining the swamp better than anybody else could. That's what I understand. He's not doing it to the 100%.
It's been drained.
Another person.
What's been drained?
This is dumb.
What's been drained? What's been drained?
What's been drained? What's been drained is the clog of corruption that was in the FBI.
Where's the corruption? Nobody's been arrested.
I'll tell you.
No one's been arrested. No one's been arrested.
You just wait and see. The Department
no
of
one's
Justice.
been arrested.
Not yet. You just
no one's been arrested.
Wait and see. He's been in office for damn near 5 years.
Not yet.
6 months.
Who would he put in jail?
Right,
yeah,
nobody.
Long enough.
Nobody.
He didn't do his first term.
He didn't do his first term in jail, and what happened?
He didn't do his first term.
Nothing.
He became your president instead of going to jail. All that shit y'all was doing.
You sound
corrupt that Department of Justice. You tried to put his ass in jail.
This is why I say this isn't a good faith convo. This nigga is
a good faith conversation because you ain't interested in a good faith conversation.
You're not having one. You're just spitting out talking points that you get from Truth Social and Twitter. You're fucking goofy.
You don't know how to have a conversation.
It hurts your feelings when people call you stupid because you're unread and don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Something is absolutely wrong with you.
You're absolutely ridiculous.
They call me stupid. I don't even know
you are.
Okay. According to you, who are you?
I'm someone who's not stupid on the subjects that you talk about on a daily basis. You haven't made a fucking point. You haven't made a fucking point since you've been talking. You've been the only person talking for an hour. You're fucking dumb.
You ain't shit, bro. And what? You don't know shit. You over here just yapping.
You've been yapping for an hour and haven't made a point.
Yep. And I'm going to keep yapping until I need to. Yep. I was having a conversation with Rez, and here you come.
You haven't had a conversation. You've just been talking.
We were having a conversation that was not.
Rez, has he made a point?
Oh, I made a point because she was
he hasn't counted with one fact, one data, nothing. He's only counted with the normal MAGA rhetoric, the literally going around in circles and then regurgitating shit that he's heard, but he has no facts. Like I explained to him about the bill.
That's what happened to you.
I explained to him about how people were going to be hurt by cutting SNAP benefits, and I gave him the entire spiel. I even told him what it was in the bill. I explained to him how it was in the bill and what the effects of it was. And do you know what his response to me was? So how do you combat fraud, waste, and abuse? And you know what my response to him was? We already have laws on the books. I actually gave him a case that is currently happening in Louisiana with a young lady that literally frauded the Medicaid system, and now she's about to go to jail because she's been arrested because the laws are already put in place. But as I explained to him, Womack, there's no rampant, because this was the word he used, fraud, waste, and abuse happening to some large level that 20 million people are fraud, wasting, abusing the system, and this is why you have to kick 20 million people off of the program. That's what I said to him, Womack. Am I wrong, Hold on. Am I wrong, Womack?
No, you're not, but he's
okay.
clearly not engaged.
But he's not listening.
You're not
validated by one of your pom-poms. You got validated by a cheerleader.
A pom-pom? Womack doesn't know me. He doesn't know me from a can of paint.
You know when cheerleaders have pom-poms in their hand? You went to a pom-pom, a cheerleader, and you asked him to validate.
I asked him to validate the data. I asked him to validate the data.
Only us. Half of them are asleep.
I asked him to validate the data.
You heard him before you even spoke.
Did you engage with any of her points?
Please.
Did you engage with anyone of her Infinity? Did you engage with any one of her points? No. You asked for something specific. You asked for something specific. She gave it to you. Have you engaged with any one of the points that she's made since she stated what she stated? Not one.
Yes, I have.
Not one in the last fucking hour.
The problem is she's pancaking. That's why I was interrupting her a few times. Because I wanted to address it.
What the fuck is pancaking?
She's pancaking her quote unquote points. So when then I get
the microphone, pancaking if I'm giving you facts?
Listen, ma'am. You're taking all of your points
and you're putting them in one soliloquy. So then when I take the microphone, I got to remember every 15 of the points that you try to make. That's why I wanted to go point by point. But when I cut you off, you're cutting me off. I can't remember everything that you say because you take forever, just like I take forever. Why don't we do it point by point? I've talked about the border and all the people pouring into our country. You didn't address that. You didn't talk about how the fact that Biden let all these but Biden let all these people come into the country, and he didn't think that was a big problem when everybody knew it was a big problem. So that was a rampant issue that he didn't address, that he downplayed.
The immigration. Sir, I can answer that question. Hold on. You keep talking. Stop talking.
Just like you kept talking.
That's not true.
Every administration gets to determine how they want to determine the issue. Biden looked at that porous border and said, no, it's not a crisis. But then Trump was like, are you serious? Millions of people pouring into our country is an invasion. So there's the discrepancy between two perspectives. So when I say the Trump administration determines the fraud, waste, and abuse currently as rampant, that's within their realm. Biden didn't think it was. Just like you don't think it was. Oh, whatever, we got laws on the books. They're being held accountable.
The numbers don't add up. There's no numbers. It's just like you guys have said that there are illegal. I've heard this MAGA conversation that there are this rampant voter fraud and abuse, and it came out literally from the IOC department, literally from the department that was built under Trump, which is so weird, that the data was so safe at one point.
What department?
I just said, sir, stop talking. Fuck.
What department?
Stop fucking talking.
You don't know the department. You're yapping.
Oh my God, sir.
You're yip-yapping. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about.
This is what they always do, Wallback. They overtalk you, so they never let you finish.
He's not engaging with anything.
He's not. I'm done.
You don't know what she's talking about. I'm done too. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just repeating talking points, and you're getting lost in your own sauce. The department under Trump. What department? I don't know. You don't know what you're talking about. Yip yapping. Just came and shit all over her state with a bunch of lies and misinformation. Ridiculous.
What are you talking about? I mean, I'm looking the stuff up that the lady was talking about, and she seemed to be on point. And the math and statistics say that even Donald Trump's ratings in some places are falling. I mean, brother, you got to go by statistics. You can't roll up in a dumb buck in a truck type attitude and say, well, there's no facts, but here's what I got to say. Nobody wants to hear that. You either, Manfinity, got to come with some kind of facts. And that's what that lady came with back there. You done got left in the dust like a pickup truck going down the road. You got left.
Can I finish what I was going to say? I was going to say this real quick. While he was cutting me off, I was saying the department CIO, which I know what I'm talking about. It's the IT department of the government. Look it up. It's called the CIO. It was developed under the Trump administration. Had the head of the Trump, because he bought in somebody from Dell who literally knew what he was doing. And then when he declared that the first election was safe as hell, Trump got mad and fired him. So let's be clear. I know what I'm talking about. All this stuff is literally, you can Google it, because y'all love friggin' Google, but you only Google what you want to Google. So again, I came with data. I came with facts. I don't know what the hell your problem is, Manfinity, but it sounds like you need a hug. You really need some serious Jesus, and somebody needs to help you get out of being brainwashed, because it's unfortunate that you are in a cult and you don't realize it. But again, the votes were safe. So the point I was trying to make in what I said is that at the end of the day, it's all these things that that you guys talk about rampant. Voter fraud was supposed to be so rampant. Oh my God, it was so rampant in this country. That's not even a talking point anymore. Like that conversation went away. But we have midterm elections coming up, so I know that's going to come up again. And guess what? They went back. They recounted ballots. They recounted ballots in Michigan. They recounted ballots in Arizona. They recounted ballots in Georgia, and they found no rampant voter fraud. In fact, for the 3 people who they found actually committed fraud, guess what? They were all Republicans. They were all freaking Republicans. Y'all are fucking weird.
Bad, infinity. It's kind of, you kind of are sinking, and you got to find a way to make buoyancy with what you have, and that just doesn't work. The analogy will run smooth now. At the end of the day, brother, what Donald Trump does is it absolutely sucks. And it ain't helping your wallet. It ain't helping Walmart's wallet and all these other companies that are just crumbling sometimes under the weight of tariffs and have talked about it. It is just embarrassing, brother, if you cannot sit here and lean on the facts and not just what people think or what you think or what you watch on television or the old internet or whatever it is. You got to start feeling and saying, this is now affecting my life because, and then go look at the effect or the facts related to that, whether that is higher taxes or whether that is tariffs in this case. That affects you too, right? You're not, you can't avoid that, right? But people now are speaking up about it. And if you're a Republican, which you are, Manfinity, I think this stuff is going to affect you. And so at the end of the day, that lady was right. And the numbers are really, especially with the markets and stuff in some places, that's affected as well, right? I mean, my God, you have some people still getting a 15% tariff over in Europe and places like that. Well, it's better than 30%, someone said in another room I was in. It doesn't matter. This stuff is unneeded mathematically. It adds a mathematical burden on people, about $3,855 on average per working person in America, just an extra $3,000. Do you think people, some folks, not everybody, has an extra $3,000 per year to throw at tariffs on everyday items that you use every day? How stupid do the Republicans sound? I'm not trying to, I'm sorry, brother. I was going to say something else. So, God help me out. Brother, it just sounds stupid as hell. Go back to your kitchen table and go do the math. And look at our GDP and all of that other kind of stuff related to it. And I suggest you to break it down into sectors, whether that's steel, aluminum, and other things that we produce, and then get back with me. That math right there should be through as an arrow if you do it right. If you can do that right, then you'll see that tariffs are going to hurt you across the board. Got it, brother? Can you do that assignment? Can you come back and tell me what steel is going to cost under tariffs? Can you tell me what aluminum is going to cost under these tariffs and your everyday products, and then tell me you're joyful about that? Can you do that for me, brother? Any Republicans in here? Can you do that kind of math for me and get back with me? Because a lot of that stuff I certainly can do, and I have done that by telling you the extra $3,000 something on average that each American would have to pay. That's some pretty good math. Infinity, find the assignment. I'm not happy. This is crap. What happened to Infinity? He just. Uh-oh. Wow, she's terrible. My God. Republicans have nothing to say at all about the horrible mess mathematically that the country is in and other countries because of tariffs. It's embarrassing. Those tariffs, aren't those global too? Not on aluminum and steel. That's not just in Canada, the other countries are affected under that aluminum steel. And I think someone mentioned copper in here. The price of copper has jumped by a percentage. I wasn't able to catch that percentage, but if it's, what is the price of copper right now? Or if that's jumped, someone told me that copper may be gold in some places by price jump, but I don't know that because I'll have to go look all that up comparative. But if copper is going up by whatever percentage Donald Trump had said, even 15 to 20% is still not good for copper and steel. I just think it's bad. Ms. Reyes, have you found anything? Because did you mention about copper, steel, or those prices going up, or on somebody?
I wasn't talking about tariffs in regards to the prices because I don't know what the prices is. I do know that the tariffs being imposed are having an effect, and I do know I know some of the effect that's happening in the industry that I work in. So it's very complicated because people do not understand that tariffs are. A business when a business is taxed, they put the tax back onto the consumer, and you can see it in the price gouging and the price jumps. I was talking to someone the other day. Some of our beef and our cattle, some of our beef comes from Canada, and if you go to certain parts where they import beef from Canada, you could see the prices have jumped considerably. Where a pound of beef used to be somewhere around. I think like $1 and $1.50 a pound. It's probably now almost to $3-4 a pound, which is crazy.
Whoa! And we see that here in Texas, as some folks have had to sell off cattle, heads of cattle, and stuff like that. And try to pumping those cattle up to, I know that's kind of old school sounding, but we're just gonna have to roll with that. Pump those cattle up to get those cattle on down the market and get those cattle sold at the value market price or the market price on the auction floor. Some cattle can be auctioned off quickly. If not, some cattle are sent to other places. It is a big deal even at the auction house. Here they have stockyards and stuff, and you do see the prices even for that record buyout. Folks will pay sometimes even at the stock shows and stuff will pay anywhere, a lot of money, $300,000, and some folks are greater. Even for the small calves, you can get $30,000 to $75,000. If your animal's branded, then that's another big deal. So I just tell people, yeah, I'm with you, ma'am. The price of meat is reflected in the market here, and we hate it here in Texas. We don't have to ship in as much, I guess, beef, but they are having to sell off their cattle and not being able to produce more baby cattle or more,
I've heard something like that. Yeah, I've heard something like that. I didn't know how true that was. I thought a lot of the cattle that they use was not necessarily for beef, but I thought that a lot of it was for, well, you have like some for beef, you have some for dairy producing, because there's dairy cows, you have your Angus cow. There's several different variations of cows. So each cow has different stuffs. But I have heard that people are having to sell off some of their cows. So
yes, in the auction floor, you go down there on that Saturday morning, you see that auction floor, and those cows come down. They, those real fast numbers rumble off. Those numbers come on the big board. That big board, those numbers come down, and boom, boom, bam, bam, they slam the gavel. If your number's called, you got the money. You get that cow right now. So that's another good way to get a cow. If you don't got a farm near you, well, I don't know where one lives, whatever, I'm not sure. If you do not have a farm near you and you still need a cow, then you go on down to the auction yard and you can bid on a cow, and they'll, you can get it, drive that on to your house. So yeah, wherever you live, or you can drive it to the butcher and they'll cut it for you and you put it in your deep freezer. So you still have the opportunity to get cattle, regardless, I think, of where you live, but the prices are still high even at the auction house, just due to the fact of demand and not enough being born. What Texas wants to do is supposedly create a breeding system. I don't know how to put that in there, but it's like a breeding system to have more cows if we can just keep producing. But there are some problems with that too. But that's what they're thinking, to try to maybe, I don't know, meet demand or do what they do with chickens. But cows aren't chickens, so having them all crammed into a barn or place, it just isn't going to work. So they've got to find other ways to get more cows to be born to meet the demand of the beef, so those prices hopefully can go down in that particular market. That's what I'm hoping here in Texas, that they can begin to produce more cattle and we see our prices go down. I don't know about other states or what other states are doing to kind of counter that. I'm not sure, but our state's trying to look into what we can do. Reg, you have heard, like you said, you've heard what I, kind of had talked about, but every state doesn't have, the farming industry that we have, but hopefully they can counter, with some of the means. If, I don't know if cows can be everywhere, but there's got to be a way for these states to be able to counteract. I don't know how you counteract tariffs, but for us with the cattle, we're trying to essentially get more in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. Honestly, I don't, the agriculture space, I listen in to what's going on, and I kind of, I empathize. There's a lot going on with agriculture right now. It's a mess right now, between half of the people not showing up. I could tell you, I just drove down from Sonoma, I want to say like 3 days ago, and there was nobody out there. Nobody out there. It's tough. People are scared to come to work because they're scared to be picked up. So there's a lot of fruit that's rotting on the trees, and we're gonna see the effects of those numbers probably in the next 2 to 3 months, when you start to see that even fruit prices start to go up. So yeah.
Is there a way that any of that fruit? I know during the pandemic, what our church did, because a lot of stuff was gonna go bad, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and asked the folks if, as much as we can put on the back of 4 18-wheelers, they had everything we need.
Agriculture is this idiot who just said this. You are definitely stupid and you don't know what you're talking about. Agriculture is not better than ever, and robots cannot make it better, because robots cannot pick fruit the way that migrant. Y'all are friggin' weird as hell. Y'all just say anything.
Oh, who said that, brother? Have your ass worked at a farm?
He's not a farmer. He is not a farmer. He need to go sit his behind down.
I've worked on, brother, it's very meticulous. You can't just go in there with robots and yanking grape stuff, breaking watermelons, falling down. Like, brother, what you talking about? Robots, they can do some stuff, but you still got to have people to go and pick the finer stuff. I've worked on a farm before. Same thing with getting bees. Robots can't do that work. The bees get out the hive. It would be an utter disaster, brother. You still need people to get them. With bees, you got to put your suit on. I had to do that. God told me to get some bees out of a house, and I went in there with steam, smoked them out there with steam, then brought smoke in there, all those bees huddled in the corner, and I was able to capture all those bees, but also get their honey. So I just tell people there's ways to do stuff, and brother, you don't need no robots to do this stuff. You still need people, and if you're sitting up here thinking you're gonna go on somebody's farm, talking about you gonna use a robot to pick up their watermelons here in Texas, brother, that ain't gonna work for you. So you need manual labor to do these jobs, to move this stuff, and to load it on the trucks. I just I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'm an old school way of thinking, but we have folks and all that works at Oak Police Farm. We don't have no robots working out there. So I think you might want to change the way you think and know that people still need jobs. You sit here and think that robots they're gonna take every job, but then you still need folks, brother. I don't understand the concept of. I guess it can work for some things you need on a farm, but robots can't pick grapes. They'll break the grapes or something.
Yeah. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's trolling. He's just trolling. He's weird as hell.
Down grapes will be all on the down ground, man. And you may get away with an autonomous tractor or something. Fort Worth just opened up a multi-billion-dollar company to somehow build autonomous tractors. But even they said there are some skilled work that still needs people. So I don't know what that person's talking about. Maybe you should go try one of them autonomous tractors. That's probably as far as it's going to go. But you still need people to get behind that thing and pull them grapes and pick that stuff. So that's all I can tell you, dude. I done been on the farm, around equipment, John Deere and all that. There's people out there. So
I was thinking the same thing, Juicy. What the hell is he talking about? That was the stupidest link that he said. See, they always trying to make their point and then they make it with dumb, stupid stuff. What the hell does a drone have to do with picking damn grapes? Nothing. A drone is not going to pick grapes, weirdo.
No, have you seen grapevines and you trying to fly something?
Yes, ma'am. I have. So we're not talking about fertilizing the farm. Anybody could we're talking about picking fruit. I was very clear of what I said specifically. I never said nothing about fertilizing any ground. So don't try to now turn this around. Robots cannot pick fruit. The hell?
Ever seen a robot try to hold potatoes? The whole damn thing would probably get crushed. Like what, bro? Like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to laugh.
Yeah, well, it's okay. I had enough of the MAGA weirdos. Go find another room. Go find your tribe. Go find MAGAs, and y'all can MAGA it all day long. Y'all are worrisome.
When they come up and speak, like I said, maybe I'm old school and all that, and just don't.
I'm nowhere near MAGA, honey. You got the wrong person. I don't, listen, we good. Y'all don't want DEI. DEI is dead, remember? So go find your tribe. You don't want diversity. Bye.
You want diversity in this room. I don't know.
When did you ever hear me say the word Mexican? I have not said anything about Mexicans in this damn room. But see, that's what I'm saying. Y'all always projecting your bullshit. Go find MAGA. Bye. I'm not hinting shit. You don't know what you're talking. Now we're going to bring up slavery. Okay, now y'all going to have to go because I'm so over y'all with the dumb shit.
Bro, what in God? Bro, are y'all drinking? Yo, I'm dead. Like, yo, we're talking about a farm and folks working. That means people. Robots don't.
Right, that's all we said. Nobody said nothing about Mexicans. Guess what? Now they got a whole lot of jobs. So why don't you get your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, Pawpaw and Meemaw to go pick that damn fruit? How about that?
Where did they come from? They just, y'all just came out of left field for real. A home run, a no home run. What the hell, bro, y'all? Foul ball, what the They say just Can the folks in the chat, are they able to, can you come up and speak or something? I don't read it.
Justly, 8 point.
UBI.
Huh?
Somebody in the chat. This is a great idea. They said that in the chat. It says UBI is a great idea.
You know what UBI is?
What I was going to ask, what is that a name of a company? That's what I was going to ask.
No, it's Universal Basic Income. UBI is Universal Basic Income.
Oh, basic income. What index of what? Bank or what? Universal basic income. What?
Yeah.
What is that going to? Is that something that helps everybody? Is that something that only helps a few people?
No, universal. That's what universal means, right? Universal means, like, when you think of universal healthcare, that means it's for everybody.
Okay.
Universal basic income is an income for everybody. So you see how it's like Social Security is for only folks that are of retirement age. Universal basic income would give income to everybody. So the tax revenue, instead of it being, you can use the tax revenue to give everybody a basic income. So, like, I don't know, $500 a month for each person, each citizen.
No, mathematically it isn't working. You're not
actually, it does work, because look what they just did, right? They just cut what, $4 trillion from the top, just giving them a tax cut, when they could have allocated that. And also, they also cut freaking Medicaid and all this other shit too. All of this money, right?
Yeah, man.
If they just funnel that. If they just there's a way to pay for it. There's a way to pay for it.
I get the way to pay for it, but you're saying for lawyers and doctors and folks that make good money to go to this universal income system, and that ain't gonna work. If I like my 2,000 square foot of, hold on, or where I live at, big old place there, you telling me I got to downsize because you may give me just enough to make it. Brother, I don't want just enough. I want to make as much as my talent or the market. We got to allow that to be the marketplace.
It doesn't make you not able to do other things. It just gives everybody a basic income. You can opt out of it. And also the folks that are making a whole lot of money, like you're saying, like lawyers, doctors, whatever, they pay more in taxes than they would get from universal basic income. So it would actually fund more towards the bottom. And also you can make exceptions in what they can use it for too. So there's different ways to score it, so that way it's fair. But the basic concept, there's a lot of videos on how it can be paid for. There's different ways it can be paid for. Also, there's pilot programs that a lot of people, different cities and states have implemented, and it actually improved the community. So there's a lot of positive, and actually, the United States was about to pass it. During the Nixon era, they were about to pass it, but it was for some reason it was blocked. But we were about to have it, just like Social Security. Imagine if they blocked Social Security, where we would be right now, right?
And so, when you're on these income kind of programs, whether it's Social Security or whatever, there's restrictions. You can only make this kind of money, brother. I don't know if anybody in America would want to be limited in what they can make in order to accept this program. Now, there's an opt-out button or whatever you want to call it.
Universal basic income doesn't limit you. It just gives everybody a floor.
Okay.
You can make as much money as you want. It doesn't mean that that's the only money you can make. It's just a minimum, basic income. So that way everybody has at least money for food, money for whatever. It's universal, so you can use it for whatever the fuck you want to use it for. You can use it for college. You can use it for, you got your basic needs met. Everybody.
I see what you mean.
At least lifting somebody out of poverty, right?
Well, why don't we increase the wage? I don't know about the income deal, but
we can do both. It's not exclusive. It's not exclusive to raising the wage. It's not exclusive.
Well, that's gotta happen.
You can have a minimum income, and you can still increase the wage. Go ahead.
Well, then that's gotta happen, because it can't just be the government saying, "Whoop, I'm just gonna give money to everybody, every single person." That also has to be paid for somehow. You have 63 million Americans right now receiving some kind of benefits of Social Security as well. That program is talking about possibly going insolvent. So how do we make sure that if this universal income thing you're talking about, that the god doggone thing doesn't go insolvent, or that we make sure there's money in it?
Social Security is self-funded. It's not going to go insolvent. It's just going to decrease in the benefits by 2033 unless there's any changes to the policy. So it's just going to decrease, but there's an easy fix for that problem that could fund it for the next 70 plus years, is if they raise the cap on the freaking income that gets taxed for Social Security. So that's an easy fix. They just don't want to do that shit because lobbyists and all this bullshit of people that don't want to vote for the people. So that's an easy fix.
Check would go to, because I like doing math. How much of a percentage would someone's their paycheck, would have to cover to eventually pay for this program?
Let me propose something from a lot of research. A lot of research.
As hell what he's talking about.
Yeah. Just let's ask a little more elemental question. Somebody on the chat is saying, where does the money come from? I'm going to argue that in 100 years from now, people are going to wonder why there was ever a question about scarcity of money. That is one thing we don't have a scarcity of. We do have scarcity of things.
Okay.
Right? But overall, there was a time in history where if you were a smart, well-learned person, you knew that the world was flat. And to think otherwise made you crazy, right? So I probably sound crazy when I say there's no fixed amount of money. There is a choke on the supply of what we actually need for people to raise their standard of living, how we figure all that out and all that fighting we do about different kinds of political systems. But you could ask yourself, once upon a time, us being on an app like this, no long distance charges, all of that compared to a world I grew up in as a boy, well, you could say we have incredible power right now just to be able to organize. I've done major, collaborations that have come out of Clubhouse. Lots of you have too, I'm sure, if you've been around a while. And so I would say an ordinary human being today, living today in 2025, has more power to get things done than the 1% had 20 years ago, an ordinary person of today. Now, when we ask from that standpoint, is it only possible to come up with an economic model in which universal income works that's only paid for by government? I don't think so. I think there's other business models that can work in which universal income can work. And it only really has one, and you look at basicincome.org, which I posted in the chat, that people can look at all these examples, whether it comes from government or not. But I'll argue that there's already attempts right now I can give you links to of people attempting to establish basic income without it coming from a government or taxes. And that's the first thing we ended up doing a lot of research in my organization with people throughout the United States, asking if it was possible to actually have universal income that didn't come out of your taxes. Would you be okay with a world in which you don't have to work for a living? Now that sounds like foreign to people worrying about people like just sleeping on a couch and just being subsidized by everybody else. But if they're not being subsidized by everybody else, but they're actually part of a working economic system that allows them to make whatever decision they want to make with what they want to do with their time, who am I to say that somebody just pattering in their garden for their whole lifetime is wasting their life on what we would call basic income? Like, that's their life, right? I do other things. And like somebody said, and you look at those examples on basicincome.org, you will see that for the most part, lovely news to share with you about human nature, it seems better than we think, is that most people, when they get basic income, they actually do something with it. Like the guy said, they start a business, go to school. I know, was that Dan, you were saying that? Like Jeremy, that was Jeremy. Thank you. It turns out that more often than not, sure, there are some loafers and people who do drugs and sit on the couch, but what's considered one of the earliest demonstrations of the power of universal income is actually not cash, but it's known as the medicine hat. 1977 it starts. The medicine hat, experiment or something like that, where they gave like almost 500 homeless people apartments. And I'm not saying they put them up in apartments, they gave them to them outright. They own it. Here it is. And 83% of those people, within a year and a half had full-time jobs. And then there's all sorts of like social science that's gone into building on that concept and trying to see, like, when you give people buying power, agency, and capability, do they tend to make the most of it, or do they just waste because they didn't have the work ethic? Turns out that most of the time people make really good use of it. And I'll just land my plane on, you can make an economic model to invest into people by giving them buying power, so that when they buy goods and services, the people who buy goods and services are able to get good, hard money out of that buying power. Just like you make good, hard money out of a loan coming out of the Federal Reserve, which is not the kind of debt we all think it is. We don't actually have the money you send into your tax dollars go into a bank account to then pay for other things the government does. When you send your money into the government, they destroy it. What we think money is nothing like what money is. I form it for a living. I am telling you, we could end, and I know no one will agree with me that this is true, but I'm going to prove this. So you heard it here first, that we can end the U.S. debt in 8 years. No shit. I am going to prove that. And I'm saying, like, we do not understand where the money is and what to make use of it and what to do with it. And there are people figuring out how to do that, and I am helping them.
Yeah. When Trump brought on Elon, because Elon's a proponent of UBI, because he knows where technology's going. Also, Barack Obama's in favor of it. Also, it's since it's proven and it's backed by fact, a lot of people on both sides are in favor of it. So it's easy for it to be passed. But when Elon was in the Trump administration and they're going to be gutting shit, I thought that's what they were going to go for. They're going to try to gut everything and implement UBI. And actually, it would actually make Trump the most popular president in the history of the United States. Well, he did that.
We'll see.
But he fucked it up, right? Elon's no longer there. They didn't gut it enough, and they still gave these billionaires a tax break. They should have just kept that shit, like raised the taxes,